Hello, and thank you for joining us for this encore presentation of one of Viking's most special itineraries. Our friends at Cruise Travel Outlet look forward to building the trip of your dreams. And at Viking, we look forward to welcoming you on board. Enjoy the show.
Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining Traveling Virtually with Viking. I want to give a special thank you to our travel advisors for inviting you to attend this presentation today. And today we're so happy to do an exclusive culinary journey along the Mississippi. So I'd like to welcome Michelle Segaser, Viking's Vice President of Sales and National Accounts, as we take a culinary journey.
Thank you, Mike. Isn't this great? Finally, you got me on one of these, and I'm thrilled to be here today. Thank you for joining us. And again, thank you to our travel advisors who invited you to this special event. I'm thrilled to have not only Mike with me today, but Richard Sims, our Director of National Accounts. So all in a bow tie and seersucker. There you go.
I thought I required it today.
Yeah, I put the pearls on in a cup of tea, so I'm all good right
go.
now from Seattle. But Richard is newer to Viking, and but boy, not new to the Mississippi or the area. We have kind of crossed roots. He's an Alabama boy, and my father was from Alabama, but we're very opposing on our football teams, right, Richard?
That is absolutely 100% correct.
He wants to hear a little War Eagle, and I want to hear a little Roll Tide, but I guess we get through this whole Southern presentation together. Those of you who have traveled with Viking before, thank you so much for your great support. Of course, you know how large the world of Viking is now. For those of you who are new to us, this is just a portion of the Viking world map. We have rivers, oceans, and our wonderful new expedition ships. Of course, today you're here to hear about our new program on the Mississippi with these new fantastic itineraries. I've been with Viking 17 years, and it feels like all 17 years we've talked about going on the Mississippi. In actuality, it's been about 8 years that we've been trying to plan this whole experience for you all. It will be opening up in 2022. I will tell you, space is already tight, right, Richard, for 2022? And 2023 is open, right? Yeah. I mean, and the one that kind of surprises me is the longest one, America's Great River, sold out faster than anything else. So some of you are really looking forward to a modern view of the Mississippi through the beautiful new ship, the Viking Mississippi, on this magnificent river. So Richard, this is your world. This is your homeland, more or less. You're a good Southern boy. And I'd love you to take us through some of these ports that we're traveling to, some of your recommendations. And then you're just going to make us awfully hungry through the rest of this.
Yes, I think I will. I definitely will. And, thank you. It is such a great itinerary. And this is definitely, the heart of the South. This is a great itinerary. And it's one that I think people are going to be surprised by some of the lesser known cities that they may not have heard of, that I think is going to really bring a lot of that charm and grace that the South's known for, those beautiful oak trees, draped in moss, and, quaint little beautiful historic homes, of course, great food, just a great ambiance and atmosphere.
It's everything you imagine it's going to be and more, right? The history, those trees to me are always in my mind, how spectacular they are.
Yeah.
And the homes, the architecture, it's a trip for whatever you love. Music, food, and architecture, and history, of course, of the U.S. Is a big part of this whole itinerary. Actually,
yeah, absolutely. And, we've got some great resources to get you excited about the journey even before you travel. And we've got recommended book titles that, definitely take place in this, period, or, the area region that we'll be traveling through. It's going to have recommendations for films as well. And it'll give you a little flavor and get you really excited after you've made that deposit and booked your cruise on Mississippi. It'll definitely keep you entertained and just really educated, again, on this amazing part of the Mississippi River, the lower portion of Mississippi. And, like you said, Michelle, starting in places like Memphis that has such a rich history and so much diversity.
So much, right?
Yeah, and coming down to Vicksburg and Natchez. And then
history in there, the Civil War history, Natchez, and those magnificent homes. Oh my gosh, that's something I'll never forget.
Absolutely. And then you get into, some of the lesser known charms like St. Francisville and Darrow. Of course, Baton Rouge is in there as well before ending in New Orleans. And, definitely want to point out, you can go either south, like what we're going to be doing today, Memphis to New Orleans, or you can take this itinerary in reverse and go from New Orleans to Memphis. And so regardless of which direction you go, and we're already seeing it with the bookings, aren't we, as people are wanting to book pre or post land extensions. And so
Oh, yes.
I know the majority of our bookings already have booked those pre or post because they want the longer extension in these amazing anchor cities for this itinerary, Memphis and New Orleans.
Well, it's hard to choose. That's why they're taking them on both ends, I think, you know.
Absolutely.
So we'll pretend
Memphis,
to start in Memphis today.
Yep. Yeah, and Memphis has so much to offer. You know, obviously, it's got it's kind of the home of the blues. You've got amazing street where you've got so many amazing places to go and listen to those blues. But it's also home to a lot of great country music. It's Sun Studios, and going over and doing a tour there, and where Johnny Cash got his start. Elvis Presley. Of course, you have Graceland. But we're also talking about food today, and that's where we want to focus because. Memphis is known for one thing and one thing only, and that's its ribs, and it's barbecue and its unique way of presenting.
Look at that.
Absolutely delicious, and it's called dry rub. Dry ribs, and what that simply means is that the rub that they create, the spices that they mix together, and they rub on the meat. Preferably, you want to let it sit overnight, 24 hours, and really let that meat absorb those spices. But what you're going to taste is you're going to not be overpowered by barbecue sauce, like that traditional barbecue ribs that you taste in other parts of the country. You're going to have that opportunity to really taste the flavors, taste the smokiness of the meat as it cooked over maybe hickory wood, apple, pecan even. And if you want that barbecue sauce, you're definitely going to have it. It's going to be a little bit less sweet, but more spicy because they actually put some of that same rub in that tomato-based barbecue sauce that they're known for. And so a lot of people, they eat it dry, just like what you see here. So when it comes off that smoker, it's got that rich mahogany, look to it. And that's where that sugar that's inside that rub recipe is caramelizing. It's really, turning that beautiful mahogany.
You get that crust on it, right? It's beautiful.
It has a little crunch, and you just taste the flavor. It just really bursts with flavor. And again, that barbecue sauce is on the side. There's over 100 different barbecue places in Memphis to choose from. Wow. There's some really great ones out there. One of our favorite is Central Barbecue, and Central Barbecue actually has a recipe available for their dry rub, and this is something that you can cook at home. It's also something we're going to be doing today as we take those culinary journeys. I actually give you a recipe of a dish that you can make right there in the comfort of your own home and get a taste of this itinerary as you travel on the heart of the Delta. So when you look at this, the two ingredients that jump out is that brown sugar. That's what's going to be that caramelized. You can use sugar in the raw as well, and that's what I particularly use. Is sugar.
Oh, I love that because it has a real mapley to it as well, right?
It does, and it just again, it gives you that beautiful mahogany color. But that salt and that using kosher salt, what that does, it really opens up the pores of the meat. That salt does, and it allows the spices to really be absorbed by the meat. So as the ribs sweat, as they come up to temperature and start to cook and they start to sweat, they're able to absorb those spices, and that's what makes it so delicious. And
now we will be forwarding the link to this whole recorded virtual travel right now to your travel advisor by the end of the week. So don't worry if you didn't get the recipe of any of the other things Richard's going to talk about. We'll be sending them off to your travel advisor so they can get them to you this week. And boy, that would be great for this weekend. And the beautiful scenic cruising on the Mississippi. Those of you who've traveled on the European rivers with us, it's a very different experience in the U.S. You don't have the mansions right on the water like you do all of the beautiful scenery you see in Europe, but you have a lot of beautiful fall foliage through the fall time. There's a lot of local life to see. And on a magnificent ship like this is the new modern way of sailing on the Mississippi. And we'll get into the ship a little bit later after Richard makes you more hungry in each of these ports on this itinerary. Oh, Vicksburg, fantastic.
Yeah, Vicksburg, such a great city. As you get into more of the middle part of Mississippi, obviously amazing history here with the Civil War. Abraham Lincoln identified this immediately when the Civil War broke out, that this was really the key to the South. If you take Vicksburg, it would break the back of the Confederacy. And a lot of people forget about the importance of this in the war. And so a lot of history here. Obviously, Vicksburg National Park is probably the big site here, but it gets lost because the same day that Vicksburg surrendered, to the Union forces, well, Gettysburg was taking place, and the Union won, obviously, that decisive battle. But this battle here at Vicksburg sometimes gets lost in the annals of history. But
it sure does. And I think one day we're going to have you come back and do an entire tour down this river of historical Civil War sites, because you're so good at this.
Well, I appreciate that. And it really is important history. And, you don't want to forget your history. And I think, as you travel down, you're going to be able to see that in all these different amazing ports along the river. And of course, the culinary journey continues. As we talked about barbecue in Memphis, don't forget that you're going to still have barbecue just about every single port, and definitely.
It's all a little different, right? It's not all the dry rub like Memphis.
Yeah, on the banks of the Mississippi, pulled pork and pork sandwich, barbecue pork sandwiches are really, a staple, and that's something you're going to be able to definitely continue to taste. This one's a little different. It's one of the recipes that we feature as well that has that coleslaw added to it. A lot of people love that coleslaw flavor and what it brings, to the overall taste as you're, having a sandwich. I personally don't like it with coleslaw. I like to, again, I more like to taste that smoke of whatever the flavor wood that was used for the smoking process, and taste the spices. But to each their own. That's the beauty of barbecue. You'd have
it looks terrific.
Yeah, absolutely. So there's, Vicksburg is up on a bluff overlooking the river. And so any of the restaurants that we would recommend, and when you're dining here, you're going to get a wide range of cuisine as well. This is not just Southern food here in Vicksburg. They've got really an eclectic mix of different types of food. You're going to actually start to have some great seafood restaurants here as well. But the rooftop restaurants, eating outside, eating on top of the rooftop with incredible views, that's what makes Vicksburg so special when you're dining there. And,
now you're killing me.
Yeah, now I'm killing you, because we have to at least feature one dessert. And one of the desserts we're featuring is the Mississippi mud pie, the famous Mississippi mud pie. It's definitely, pure decadence. Lots of chocolate there. You've got the chicory, coffee ice cream.
Coffee. Oh, wow.
You've got even some shaved pecans there on top. Absolutely delicious. So something, again, that you can make from the comfort of your home. Prep time, can you believe it? For that, you look at that and you think, oh my gosh, that's going to take a while.
Looks all day, yeah.
Only 20 minutes prepare time to make this Mississippi mud pie. So it really.
So I'm going to make all of you watching him hold him to that 20 minutes, because I know me just prepping would be a half an hour on that. We'll move on to Natchez.
We'll change the prep time to 30 minutes then.
Thank
you.
It's
not as difficult as it looks, And that's the fun thing, right? While we're all kind of, staying at home, what a great opportunity to, try some of these different recipes, not only all the places that Viking sales to, but also, of course, this one we're featuring today. Yeah.
And in Natchez, the beautiful, beautiful mansions here. It's what I always remember of this port. And we've got some special shore excursions planned on this one as well, right?
Yeah, we've got, Natchez is, you're just walking through a historical, site. Absolutely amazing. All the historic homes here. I think there's over 100 homes that are on the historical register.
Yes.
1,000 total. So you really start to get that, that southern charm here in Natchez. Of course, in the springtime, you've got the azaleas blooming, which is a great time to be in the South. If you want to be into that colorful time of year. But again, it's absolutely about the atmosphere that's, being able to be created. And, we're featuring, one of the dishes there in Natchez.
That's got to be fried green tomatoes, right?
Fried green tomatoes, absolutely. Great movie. But fried green tomatoes.
It's a great movie.
You're going to have, again, more southern dishes here. You're getting into pecan country, so lots of amazing pecan dishes for desserts even. So you've got a good variety of cuisine. Of course, the restaurants and all those historical areas are fantastic to dine in. They all have a little story to tell. Some, they say, are even haunted. So when you dine in Natchez, it's definitely something that I think will be one of the highlights of your cruise. And you were saying,
fantastic.
Yeah, you were talking about that culinary tour. We've got an amazing culinary tour. This is the only city we're featuring a culinary tour, but this is an optional short experience that you can choose from. And what it is we're going to take you to two amazing, beautiful, restored historic homes. And then we're going to take you to the famous restaurant 1818 and have lunch and sample different Southern, drinks and beverages that originated in the South, like a mint julep. So you're going to have a wonderful culinary experience and beverage tasting, while also getting that historical perspective of visiting these beautiful restored homes.
I'm going to have my first Sazerac next time we go into this area, as you've explained it to me today.
Absolutely. Yeah. And,
Oh, and these trees are exactly what I think of in that view. When it's been a long time, I must admit, since I sailed on the Mississippi. It certainly wasn't with Viking, and it was a long time ago. But these are all these beautiful ports, and the photography. My goodness, any of you want to bring your cameras along, and you know what you're doing when you're shooting with the shadows and the sunlight in the south is so spectacular with the weeping willows. And it's certainly gone with the wind, isn't it, Richard?
Yeah, and that's, to me, that's what makes the South one of my favorites, is not only the azaleas in the spring, but the beautiful oak trees.
Oh, they're beautiful, yeah.
Oh, they are, and just the moss straight down. Again,
It's
great
amazing.
photography, absolutely, but it creates an amazing atmosphere as you walk through the historic, again, very historic town. Beautiful, charming, easy to walk, great restaurants, again, for lunch that you can enjoy. Getting out again into the beautiful countryside and historic homes. It really is a charming place. Again, one of those places a lot of people are just not going to know a lot about but will definitely be one of the highlights when it's all said and done. Yeah.
Lovely.
And from a dining standpoint, you're in Louisiana now, so you're going to definitely start getting those Creole,
spices. Yeah.
Yeah. And Cajun cuisine and stuff. And so here, it's all about, shrimp Creole. You can do, a couple of different variety of ways, but shrimp Creole, you start to get those really true Cajun flavors and tastes that the region's known for. You're going to start, seeing crawfish on menus, lots of po' boys, and you're going to really start getting that little bit more of a spicier flavor than what you had on the Mississippi ports and even in Memphis. So it's going to be really enjoyable, and definitely shrimp. One of the things I think you could make at home that's really easy. I actually just had this Friday night. My wife made jambalaya for us. It's such a great dish. You can make it with shrimp, chicken, of course, crawfish. You can really pep it up, which we encourage you to do with andouille sausage, which really is this unique sausage in of its own. But you
really
can jambalaya with whatever meats that interest you. And this is really kind of that core dish that Louisiana and that Cajun cuisine is known for. It's because it's such a great comfort food, but it's something that you can make year round. Again, that brings out the flavors of the region. Baton Rouge.
Baton Rouge, home of LSU.
Yeah, home of LSU. There's a great Cajun cultural center here that we definitely recommend if you want to, hear some folk tales of, the Cajun Creole history, taste some of the flavors of Creole as well. Great Creole Cajun music here as well. Something that you can do. It's right there on the campus of LSU. Great little restaurants here in Baton Rouge. There's one especially that I absolutely love that has the most incredible po' boys that you're ever going to have. And it's right there next to, the campus of LSU, but there's also, crawfish etouffee. Again, as the farther you head south, the more crawfish starts creeping up and more of the dishes that you got there. One of my favorite places, though, I was just reading here, is the Chimes, and they got some of the best po' boys, but they also have incredible shrimp etouffee. But there's also poor boy Lloyd's. That's a hard.
What is that?
Poor boy Lloyd's. That also has great po' boys. So
that's a restaurant. Okay.
Yeah, po' boys are the way to go. That's crawfish etouffee, shrimp etouffee, crawfish boils. You may have more of an experience of a crawfish boil at the Cajun Heritage Center. But, to me, this is kind of the juiciness and the deliciousness of the itinerary. It's really getting down in that Cajun Creole cuisine.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's so bursting with flavor, and it's so unique, and you just can't replicate it anywhere else. You really just have to have those local ingredients. And
the Holy Trinity here. Now you're going to get into some real tough fighting areas, right?
That's right. I mean, this is the foundation of all Cajun Creole cuisine are these three vegetables, bell peppers, onions, and celery. And alone, they don't really stand out. They don't jump out at you. But when you put them together and you cook them together and you simmer them down, they pack a punch and they just release such an amazing flavor and taste. This is the flavor profile of what goes in all the etouffees, the gumbo, the
Mhm.
oh gosh, the jambalaya. I mean,
The
this
jambalaya especially, that's what I know it for, yeah.
exactly. And so, they call it the
And then
whole
making your roux, right? You have to make that right. A fine Southern girl can only make a good roux, right?
That's right. And you've heard the slogan, first you start with a roux. And then, once you get that roux going and you add in the Holy Trinity, now you can create so many, different Cajun Creole dishes. And again, this is something that you've got to learn. Once you've learned how to do this, you literally are a master at that Cajun Creole cuisine.
That may take me a few more years. I'm always overwhelmed by it when I visit, and it's always so fantastic. I really can't wait till this program starts. I see so many great things popping up at the bottom. No questions. Mr. Pike, thank you for all of your hands up for all these food areas. It sounds like you've been on the Mississippi and had a great time already.
That's great. Yeah. This is the one of the other ports of call that's going to be very charming. Darrow, Louisiana, again,
Right.
Majestic, beautiful oak trees, moss drape, beautiful old historic homes. One of the oldest towns, along with St. Francisville in Louisiana. You've got that rich history there. Again, you're getting closer towards New Orleans. You're getting even more seafood influences, blackened.
Look at that color. That's amazing.
Yeah, this is blackened redfish, another recipe.
Redfish, okay.
And it's absolutely fantastic. And that's something that a lot of people I think are starting to do a little bit more of over the last few years is blackening their fish, blackening different types of meats and seafood. And that really is what brings out the flavor here again, is using those Cajun Creole spices along with that blackening technique, and you've got something very unique. In Louisiana, I mean, the redfish is the fish of Louisiana, and I definitely encourage you, if you've never had redfish, you got to try the redfish when you're in Louisiana, because it really is unlike any other fish and preparation that you're going to have anywhere else. So definitely a lot of
Beautiful
small places to grab lunch there in Darrow. I'm sorry, what were you going to say?
I'm just hungry. It's beautiful. I've never had redfish, so that's really interesting.
Yeah, and you're on Pacific time, so you'll still be able to have lunch after me being Eastern, I'm way past.
You're waiting for dinner now.
Yeah, and we're going to feature, being able to recreate that local cuisine at home. We're going to feature shrimp étouffée. The word étouffée in French literally means, drowning, smothering, and that's what you do with étouffée, served over with rice. It really, again, that Holy Trinity. You see a lot of those right there that was garnished over this shrimp, but you have shrimp étouffée. I personally love crawfish étouffée, which has its own unique flavor. So again, something that you can create at home and really enjoy. Great comfort food, obviously, but again, something that you can make year round.
New Orleans. What can't you say about New Orleans?
Exactly. We could do a whole program just on New Orleans.
And the music and the food and the architecture, right?
Absolutely. I mean, where else can you wake up and go have, the incredible beignets, down at Cafe Du Monde, walk around the square, watch the city come to life, all the painters.
Fried oysters.
Around Jackson Square. Lunchtime, have some char-grilled oysters. Maybe have barbecue shrimp. Then dinner time, you've got blackened redfish. Whatever you want to eat. But 3 incredible meals. And hey, throw something in there in the afternoon. That you might want to have a little half of a po' boy, or share a po' boy with your significant other. And just take in all the flavors and eat and enjoy and try as many different flavors as you can. I love char-grilled oysters in New Orleans. Felix's restaurant's my personal favorite. I mean, it's just smothered in garlic and butter sauce that you just want to, top up with your French bread. Of course, you're getting beignets. I love beignets at any time of the day, whether it's in the morning or after you leave a nightclub at night. You want to, you're still a little hungry. It's like, hey, let's head to Cafe Du Monde. It's open, around the clock, and it's
just a place you have to experience.
You do.
Cafe Du Monde. Yeah, yep. Absolutely.
And my advice, don't sit downwind. And if you've never been there, you'll know what I mean. When you take a bite and that powdered sugar rains down, you definitely don't want to be downwind.
That's awesome.
later.
We're never going to be able to make that at home in 20 minutes.
No, but you can make it at home. We actually experimented trying to make beignets a week or two ago now, and yeah, they didn't quite have that same taste as Captain. So we need to work on that recipe a little bit. But my personal favorite is barbecue shrimp, and I love Mr. B's Bistro, right there across from the Monte Leon. It's right there at the foot of
Okay.
a block off of Canal Street. I love Mr. B's Bistro. They even bring you a bib to put around you, to place the bib on you before you dig into this, because this is deliciousness at its best.
So what is this? This looks amazing.
So barbecue shrimp in New Orleans is not your traditional barbecue sauce like
No, it's not.
Meats, ribs, pork, and all that. So here's Worcestershire sauce, black pepper, maybe crushed or cracked. You may have some, paprika that's thrown in there a little bit, but really it's Creole seasoning, Cajun seasoning, but really it's spicy. It will, if done right, it's got a beautiful taste when you put it in your mouth, and then as that aftertaste hits you, it's got a lot of kick to it. I like to say if you're not crying from the spiciness, it's not spicy enough. But it is absolutely delicious. And as you can see, they're cooked with the heads on. When you cook,
Yes.
you want to leave the heads on because that just makes them more flavorful.
Okay.
Have to peel them, so it is messy, hence the bib. But there's nothing like barbecue shrimp in New Orleans. And I definitely love Mr. B's Bistro. The one thing we really haven't talked about that Mr. B's is known for, but also along the river, is gumbo. And having again that Holy Trinity, that roux. But gumbo is such an important dish amongst the Creole and the Cajun cuisine. So all these places that we've talked about, I guarantee you, they're going to be featuring some amazing gumbo of their own. But barbecue shrimp is something that you can create again at home. We've got a great recipe again that we featured Viking. But in New Orleans, you got to have that barbecue shrimp. It's just an absolute fantastic dish to have. Now,
I hope so many of you try these recipes. It's hard to choose which one to start with, Richard. I mean, they're gorgeous.
I know. And I will say something that you mentioned earlier. There's a wonderful cooking school there in New Orleans that I know that we use on our pre-post land extensions, which is the New Orleans School of Cooking.
Fantastic. That's a good mention. Yes.
Yeah. So definitely think about that. And partaking in, or again, purchasing our pre or post land extension there in New Orleans. So you can have that included experience and go to the New Orleans School of Cooking, or definitely, schedule something on your own if that doesn't interest you. But you really can learn how to do the roux. The last time I was there, they taught you how to do a roux, use the Holy Trinity,
Great.
praline candies, how to do that in your own kitchen. I mean, it was really fantastic. So definitely something to consider there. Great jazz music, of course, great music scene. Definitely recommend 21st Amendment Bar, which is kind of a speakeasy Roaring Twenties theme, which is very unique in itself. But Fritzl's European Jazz Club, to me, has that true rhythm and blues jazz that just makes you tap your foot and just make you feel like you've stepped back in time in the golden era of that jazz music. So Preservation Hall is another one, but you've got so much.
That's beautiful too. Yeah.
That So I'm gonna let you talk a little bit about our onboard dining now, Michelle.
Well, I think everybody's ready to go right now, Richard. Of course, those of you who've been on Viking before know that we many times match the beautiful food of the local areas on board, as well as some of our own specialties. And on the Mississippi, you're going to see the same thing. Some of the specialities of Viking teamed with the beautiful food that is along this river. And Richard's talked so much. There's so much to ask questions on about just barbecue alone, Richard, between sauces and dries, and each town is a little different. But isn't that magnificent? And I know that there's lots of competitions on gumbos throughout New Orleans as well, right?
Absolutely.
Because everybody has the best, and then there's lots of taste of. We want to bring that magnificent journey that you had on our river or our ocean cruise, or if you're new to Viking, taste all these wonderful foods on board the ship as well by our Swiss-trained chefs, and enjoy the beautiful views down the Mississippi. Now, this ship is not like anything else that's out there. I know we're going to have some pictures for you. This is a beautiful dining room. It's a small part of just the restaurant that's on board, but in keeping with our culinary theme today, there's many other venues to try this kind of magnificent fish stews on board as well. Breakfast, lunch, and dinner, of course, are always included. Beer, wine, and soft drinks with dinner and with lunch. Look at this beautiful area. Those of you who have been on river ships know when you can sit outside and have that beautiful aquavit terrace. Well, this is all a part of that Mississippi style. So you can dine here through 3 different meals. Outdoor dining, there's inside, so if it gets a little bit warmer, there's great fans blowing, and you have a nice area here to sit with the for a drink, or even if you'd like to have your meal outside. I love having breakfast in this area, don't you, Richard? I mean,
Absolutely.
To me, that's the joy of river cruising for sure, is being outside. And on our ocean ships as well that go all over the world, we have a lot of outside dining too, al fresco, if you will. This is the beautiful Explorer's Lounge that if you're used to our ocean ships, you'll recognize this look. Of course, we still are a very Scandinavian designed company with the beautiful, beautiful light blues and light woods. Everything just feels bigger and more beautiful. On the Mississippi, we brought in some local things like this beautiful reception area, and that is Huckleberry Finn in parts of the book up on the wall. I just love that staircase. I can't wait to see it when it really comes out in full life. And then, instead of a paddle wheel on the back, we have this beautiful infinity lap pool. And I mean, I wish I could hear all of you oohing and ahhing right now, because there is just something so special about the Viking Mississippi, about what we're going to bring to these wonderful destinations. And we're thrilled, and thank you and all of your travel advisors who have shown such interest in this already. Of course, the staterooms are fantastic. 7 different categories ranging from 300 square feet all the way up to over 1,000. All outside categories, just like all of our other products on river and on ocean around the world. And, you know, it's hard to choose because I love every single one of these categories. Again, with the brightness and the big windows. And when you have small spaces to design in, it's very important that you make it all feel better and bigger. And that is really what Scandinavian design is all about. It's about bringing the light inside. It's about bringing natural woods and timbers in. You'll find little rock gardens in many of the Norwegian homes. And so that is what our style is. It's fresh, it's clean, and it never distracts from the beautiful scenery that you're going by. So choose a cabin. It's hard now. I mean, we're getting very tight on space for 2022. That 2-week itinerary, as I told you in the beginning, we couldn't believe how fast that sold out. There might be 1 or 2 cabins here and there, but there's only a few dates that will even sail, because it's very hard to do the upper and the lower all together with water and weather, and operationally it's quite challenging. But what a magnificent ship. I think that you will all enjoy this so much. Such a modern, fresh new look at how to sail on the Mississippi compared to what the ships used to be. Many years ago, and this is going back, Richard, probably 20 years ago, I worked for a company called the Delta Queen, which were old riverboats with paddle wheels, and they were so authentic and fantastic. Yeah. But this is such a difference from that, but same beautiful cities to travel to, and the great experience, of course, of the food. So.
Right. Yeah, and I would just add, these, just the amount of light, like you mentioned, I can't stress that enough as well, because every public room, every public space, you saw it in the Explorer's Lounge as well, there's floor-to-ceiling glass windows. And, in staterooms, you see, floor-to-ceiling glass. You're having all that natural light comes in, which really, I think, is one of the highlights of the ship. But it truly is a game changer, from the variety of restaurants to the, the inside
sure is.
Decor. But also even our stateroom and suite bathrooms, very large, spacious, very large.
Heated floors, which is such a treat.
Plenty of storage space. Yeah, I mean, it is a game changer on the river. It is a modern way to cruise. We're bringing all the great features of Europe that we've learned with our Viking longships and our ocean ships, and we're bringing all the best of those 2 designs here on the Mississippi and featuring them. And the demand, like you said, has been incredible. And
it's been incredible, yeah.
15-day cruises and
we didn't talk a lot about all the things.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, there's even that 2-week itinerary. There's some dates in 2023 already that are very challenging to get space on. And some of the things to remember is that we did bring all of the greatness of Viking forward to this product too. So free Wi-Fi, complimentary Wi-Fi, Like I already mentioned, beer, wine, and soft drinks with lunch and dinner included on board each day. No one under 18, so it's still an adult-only program, even on the Mississippi. No smoking in cabins, no smoking inside the vessel. She's clean and magnificent. The
and
kitchen table
short excursion. Yeah, don't forget we've got that one included short excursion in every stop as well. So that's included in your cruise fare. So that's a great value right there.
And like all the no's that we don't do, no casinos on board. People always ask about casinos on the Mississippi, but that's a lot more difficult than you imagine when you go through different states. As per the Viking way, we do not have casinos on board anyhow.
Yeah.
But I think you're going to enjoy this. The kitchen table is a terrific culinary cookbook that Karina Hagen, our executive vice president of Viking, put together a year or so ago. And now there's a website for this now called thekitchentable.com. Take a look at it, add it to your collection of special Viking recipes. Many of the ones Richard spoke about today are not on the kitchentable.com, but if you want to see some of the other fantastic food that's served on board the Viking ships, take a look at that. I absolutely love going to that website and seeing what's updated each month. And the other one is vikingtv.com, which Viking.tv, right? Sorry, Viking.tv.
Yep.
Wonderful, wonderful experience. If you want to see what our lecture series is about, actually hear from some of the lectures themselves. It's a fantastic format that changes every day. You can ask questions of our photographers that do our beautiful brochures. And if any of you are into the whole wonderful Downton Abbey program, there's a lot on Highclere Castle on there too, from some of the British news folks interviewing the butterfly lady and some of the groundskeepers, and really, really an interesting area to look into. But it's all a part of the Viking world, and we're so very proud of it. So that's Viking.tv on your website.
Yep.
And we thank you again for joining us. I thank Mike, our colleague who helps put this together. I hope that you all know from your travel advisors that we do a different destination every day, but 2 every day. So Mike, what was this morning's feature before we came on?
We had Rhine Getaway this morning.
We did Rhine Getaway. So we did Rhine and the Mississippi today. Every week, 5 days a week, we're going to be here doing something a little different with all of our different wonderful directors that work for Viking. We're thrilled that you joined us. We thank all of our wonderful travel advisors who brought you here for your great support. And we look forward to seeing you on board real soon. Thanks so much for joining us today.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.